So I want you to imagine a place right now where the absolute loudest sound you're going to hear all day long is just the dull, rhythmic clank of a cowbell.
Like literally just a cowbell.
Right. Just picture that for a second. Yeah, close your eyes if you have to. There are no cars. There are no sirens wailing in the distance.
No low electrical hum from an HVAC unit.
Exactly. And there is definitely no endless pinging of emails or calendar invites or social media notifications on your phone. Just a cowbell echoing across this massive Alpine valley.
I mean, it sounds less like a geographic location and more like, I don't know, high-end meditation app or some sort of 18th century time capsule.
Yeah.
But this is a very real breathing community. We're talking about Gimmelwald, Switzerland.
A tiny, and I mean almost impossibly tiny, farming village perched high up on a cliff face in the Swiss Alps. The population hovers at exactly 120 people.
It's wild.
It really is. So today we're doing a deep dive into the phenomenon of Gimmelwald. But we're looking way past those glossy travel brochures that just call it a gorgeous bucket list destination.
Right, we're unpacking a really surprising trend here. Why incredibly high-achieving, Type A, hyper-connected Americans are suddenly just obsessed with trying to make this remote, isolated farming village their permanent home.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that visual is really the central mission of our deep dive today.
Wow.
We need to figure out how a place that possesses absolutely zero modern conveniences.
A place that actively rejects the speed of our current century, really.
Yes. How that has somehow become the ultimate priceless luxury item for the modern, overstimulated mind. And so you begin to understand the psychology of that. You have to look at the physical journey to get there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not a place you just drive into on a whim. The journey itself functions almost like passing through an airlock on a spaceship.
That physical transition is so crucial because, I mean, you literally cannot just rent a car at the Zurich airport, plug Gimmelwald into your GPS, and roll up to a chalet. The terrain, flat out, refuses to allow it.
You have to earn the arrival. First, you take a major train to the town of Interlaken.
Right.
Then you transfer to a smaller regional train that winds its way down into the valley to Lauterbrunnen.
And you're still not there.
Not even close. From there, you catch a bus, or you hike, to the neighboring dead-end village of Steckelberg. And then finally, you step into this tiny metal cable car.
Which is essentially just a metal box suspended on a wire.
Yeah, and you are hoisted straight up the side of a cliff. It truly is a physical decompression chamber. With every single transfer, with every vehicle getting smaller and slower, the noise and the sheer velocity of the modern world are they're being vacuumed out of the atmosphere.
It's a complete shift.
By the time the cable car door slides open at the top, the air pressure has changed, the temperature has dropped, and your mindset has completely shifted.
What's fascinating here is the immediate psychological impact of that specific geography. When those cable car doors open, the sheer overwhelming physical reality of what you're looking at forces an involuntary shift in perspective.
It really does.
You step out onto this narrow green shelf of land, and straight down below you is the Lauterbrunnen Valley. It's this massive, incredibly deep, U-shaped glacial valley with 72 different waterfalls pouring continuously down its vertical sides.
72?
Yeah. The scale is so dramatic that it's widely reputed to be the direct inspiration for J.R.R. Tolkien's Rivendell when he was writing The Lord of the Rings.
And the crazy part is, that is just what you see when you look down.
Oh, right. Because when you look up, the scale gets even more intimidating. You are staring directly into the teeth of the towering peaks of the Jungfrau, the Mönch, and the Eiger.
And you're looking right at the Eiger's infamous north face.
Exactly, which is a deadly vertical wall of sheer limestone and ice that has claimed the lives of dozens of the world's most elite mountain climbers.
So you have this raw, terrifying, completely indifferent force of nature looming thousands of feet above you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, nestled right at your feet, are these incredibly quaint, dark wooden farming chalets with brightly colored red geraniums spilling out of the window boxes.
The juxtaposition of deadly nature and cozy domesticity is entirely jarring. Psychologically, when you're forced to stand in a landscape that overpowering, the human ego naturally shrinks.
Yeah, you feel tiny.
You really do. The deadline you missed last week, your social media status, your anxieties, they all just feel remarkably insignificant in the shadow of a 10,000-foot wall of ancient ice.
I completely get the awe factor. I do.
Okay.
When you first arrive, the scale of it physically stuns you into silence.
Right, man.
But I have to push back a little on the romanticism here.
Okay,
Or
sure.
at least I want to ask a practical question. Is it possible to become numb to that kind of extreme beauty? I mean, it's very easy to have a profound ego-shrinking epiphany when you're a burnt-out executive stepping off a cable car for a 2-week vacation.
How the vacation mindset is totally different.
Right. But this is a working agricultural village. You have local farmers whose families have been making cheese in giant copper vats over open wood fires for generations.
For them, this jaw-dropping Tolkien-esque landscape isn't a spiritual retreat. It's just their daily office.
Exactly. Are they walking out of their chalets every morning weeping at the majesty of the Eiger? Or are they just annoyed that they have to shovel 3 feet of snow before they can go milk the cows?
That is the essential tension of a place like Gimmelwald. It's the fundamental difference between visiting a museum and actually having to live and labor inside of one.
Right.
For the locals, the landscape doesn't provide epiphanies. It dictates their labor. It makes every single physical task harder. But, even if the visual awe becomes normalized over decades of living there, the deep, ingrained respect for the environment never fades.
Because it demands respect.
Exactly. You can never become truly numb to the mountainy because the mountain simply will not let you ignore it.
And that environment physically dictates every aspect of the lifestyle. Because of the sheer grade of the cliffside where this village is perched, there is a complete and total lack of roads.
0 cars.
No traffic lights, no delivery vans. The terrain literally prohibits modern infrastructure from taking root.
The only motorized vehicles you will find in the entire village are a handful of small, heavily modified electric carts that the farmers use to move hay or milk.
Wow.
Yeah, otherwise every single person walks. The children walk to their tiny one-room schoolhouse. The farmers walk miles up the steep pastures to the barns. Neighbors walk to check on each other.
And anything that can't be grown or made in the village, like groceries, mail, heavy construction materials for repairing a roof.
It all has to be loaded onto that little cable car down in the valley and haul up the cliff. Because of this logistical friction, the rhythm of life is entirely governed by the seasons, not by a clock.
And the swings between those seasons are intense. In the summer, the valley turns into this soft, vibrant, green paradise bursting with alpine flowers, edelweiss, and gentians.
But in the winter, the reality of the altitude really sets in. The snow piles up literally to the eaves of the roofs. The village essentially gets buried.
Yeah, you can strap on a pair of skis right at your front door and glide over to the tiny ski area connecting to Murren, or go access the legendary world-class slopes at Chilthorne.
But you're at the absolute mercy of the weather systems. During fierce winter storms, the winds whip through the valley with such violence that the cable car has to stop running entirely.
And when that cable car stops, the airlock shuts. The village is completely and totally cut off from the rest of human civilization for a day or two.
Which is terrifying for most people to even imagine.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Because in almost any major city, being entirely physically isolated by a blizzard or an avalanche warning is a crisis. People panic.
They clear out grocery store shelves immediately.
Right. But in Gimmelwald, it's not considered an emergency. It's literally just a normal Tuesday in February. You don't panic because there is absolutely nothing to be done.
You put a kettle on, you light your wood stove, you sit by the window, and you wait for the mountain to calm down.
That mindset, that complete surrender of control, is so utterly foreign to us today.
It requires a level of preparedness, and more importantly, a level of acceptance that most modern, hyper-connected people have just completely lost. We expect immediate technological solutions to every minor inconvenience.
We really do.
The idea of just sitting quietly in a snowstorm and waiting is radical.
To me, that represents the ultimate forced minimalism. I like to think about it like this. Trying to live a simple, uncluttered, focused life in modern America is like trying to go on a strict diet while you're locked inside a house that is packed to the ceiling with junk food.
That is a brilliant analogy.
You have to constantly rely on your own internal willpower not to eat the junk. You have to actively resist ordering Uber Eats or buying random gadgets on Amazon Prime or, doom scrolling on TikTok for 3 hours.
The friction is all internal, and relying on willpower all day is exhausting.
It burns you out. But in Gimmelwald, the junk simply cannot physically reach you. You don't need superhuman willpower to avoid consumer clutter because there is no road for the delivery truck to drive on.
Exactly.
The mountain provides the structural friction. It makes living a simple life effortless, rather than a daily exhausting struggle of self-denial.
Because the environment is doing the filtering for you. You aren't constantly fighting the friction of modern commerce because that mental friction has been replaced by physical barriers.
Right.
But, and this is a massive but, that physical barrier isn't the only thing keeping the modern world at bay. It's time we pivot from the romantic fantasy of this simple mountain life to the harsh, incredibly complex, practical reality of how you actually get to exist there.
Ah, yes. The velvet rope.
If it's so perfect, and if burned-out tech executives and wealthy overachievers are so desperate for this bone-level peace, why doesn't everyone just pack up their laptops and move there?
Because the Swiss government says absolutely not. The red tape is staggering.
It's basically a fortress.
When you dig into the immigration hurdles for non-EU citizens, specifically Americans looking to escape the rat race, you realize you're looking at a bureaucratic nightmare. First of all, there is a strict nationwide quota system for work permits.
You can't just show up on a tourist visa and apply for a job making cheese or pouring coffee at the local hostel.
Not at all. To get a work permit as a third country national, you need to be highly skilled in a specific sector, and your prospective Swiss employer has to legally prove to the government that there is not a single Swiss citizen, nor a single citizen in the entire European Union who is capable of doing that job.
They cast a very, very wide net before they even look at an American application.
And if you think you could just bypass the entire labor market by taking your Silicon Valley money and retiring there, think again. Switzerland does not offer a standard retirement visa for non-EU citizens. You cannot just buy your way in with a 401k.
So how do people actually pull it off?
There are workarounds, but they are incredibly niche and honestly a bit intense. You might have a shot if you can prove direct Swiss ancestry, but that's a massive documentation headache involving generations of birth certificates and local parish records.
Or, if you're ultra-wealthy, you might try to negotiate something called a forfait fiscal.
Which is a fascinating economic mechanism.
It really is. The forfait fiscal is essentially a lump sum tax agreement. Instead of taxing your global income or your vast wealth portfolio, the local Swiss canton agrees to tax you based on an assumed number representing your living expenses in Switzerland.
Which is often calculated as a multiple of your annual rent.
Exactly. It's a controversial system designed specifically to attract the global, ultra-rich who want to shelter their income while paying a hefty but flat fee to the local government.
But here is the kicker. Even if you have hundreds of millions of dollars and you successfully negotiate a forfeit fiscal, you immediately hit a reinforced brick wall of real estate law.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where Swiss law becomes a fascinating reflection of deep cultural values. There is a set of federal laws in Switzerland known as the Lex Collar.
Enacted in the 1980s, I believe.
Yes. These laws heavily restrict foreigners from buying residential real estate, especially in rural Alpine areas like Gimmelwald.
Let's be honest, it totally shatters the utopian anyone can find peace in the mountains vibe.
Yeah.
You read about this humble, down-to-earth farming village where ego goes to die, but legally speaking,
Yeah.
Gimmelwald is one of the most exclusive, heavily guarded VIP clubs on planet Earth.
It really is.
Money alone cannot buy your way past the velvet rope. The federal government strictly limits the number of holiday homes that can be sold to foreigners nationwide. You need bloodlines, hyper-specific labor skills, or the patience and immense capital to navigate a maze of immigration loopholes.
It sounds incredibly elitist on the surface, but the Lex Collar laws serve a very specific existential purpose. They aren't just mean-spirited, xenophobic bureaucracy. They act as a vital defense mechanism for the culture. Well, if those quotas didn't exist, a place as staggeringly beautiful as the Lauterbrunnen Valley would be bought up in a heartbeat by foreign billionaires looking for picturesque, status symbol holiday homes.
Ah, of course.
The ancestral farmers would be completely priced out of their own valley by exorbitant property taxes. The chalets would be sold to shell companies and sit entirely empty for 10 months of the year, and the living, breathing village would be hollowed out into a ghost town.
So the intense red tape is the only thing that keeps the community authentic.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say you perform a miracle. You navigate the complex immigration quotas, you pass the Lex Collar real estate restrictions, you pay your lump sum tax, and you finally get the physical brass keys to your very own dark wooden chalet with the red geraniums.
The dream.
Right. What is the actual reality of existing there? What does it cost to live in paradise on a Tuesday?
Well, the Swiss premium is very real, and it is going to give you sticker shock. Switzerland is notoriously expensive. Mandatory private health insurance will cost you hundreds, if not thousands of francs a month. Yeah, and basic groceries are highly priced. A simple, high-quality loaf of bread might cost you $10. If you decide to hike over to the slightly larger resort town of Mürren for a rare restaurant meal, you're going to pay a massive premium for a plate of resti and a beer.
But the paradox is that your overall daily spending completely plummets. Why? Because the structural friction we talked about earlier eliminates commerce.
There's simply nothing to buy.
Right. There are no shopping malls to wander through. There are no cinemas. There are no fast fashion boutiques to tempt you on your walk home. There is no Amazon Prime delivering boxes to your doorstep every afternoon.
You're trading consumerism for extreme community. You are entering a micro-society of 120 people.
And the social fabric is incredibly tight-knit, almost to the point of claustrophobia for an outsider.
You have to learn to speak their language, and they speak a high Alemannic, hyperlocal Swiss-German dialect that is so thick and isolated that even city-dwelling Germans from Berlin or Munich cannot understand a word of it.
You're living in a place where a cow giving birth isn't just a quaint event. It is literally front-page, headline news for the community.
It is the main event.
So what does this all mean? It means the social contract in Gimmelwald is non-negotiable. When you're sick with the flu, your neighbors physically walk over and bring you soup.
When that cable car breaks down, the village pools its manual labor to survive the disruption.
But that deeply ingrained support system means you are entirely reliant on these people, and they are entirely reliant on you. You do not move to Gimmelwald as an American executive to disrupt the village or show them your optimized, synergistic way of doing things.
Definitely not.
You move there to shut up, be humble, and be changed by the village.
It is a complete and total inversion of the modern hyper-individualistic mindset. We spend our lives trying to achieve complete financial and logistical independence so we never have to rely on anyone. In Gimmelwald, you're actively trading that independence for communal interdependence.
I look at the Swiss cost of living like a bizarre, real-world subscription model. You pay a massive, painful, upfront base subscription fee, the sky-high taxes, the mandatory expensive insurance, the premium prices for basic groceries just to stay alive.
Right.
But once you pay that steep base fee, there are absolutely zero in-app purchases. You aren't constantly bleeding capital on microtransactions. No $5 lattes every morning, no fast fashion hauls, no buying a new car to keep up with the Joneses.
Because in Gimmelwald, the only currency that actually grants you status is the strength of your legs to hike the steep trails and the slow, hard-earned trust you have built with the farmers next door.
That's beautifully put.
That is the perfect way to synthesize the economics of the valley. The brutally high barrier to entry ensures that once you are finally inside the airlock, the daily soul-crushing grind of modern consumerism just vanishes.
Which brings us full circle to the core profile of the American expat who is willing to fight so hard for this extreme lifestyle.
The chronic overachiever. Exactly. The people drawn to this are almost exclusively individuals who have done everything the modern capitalist world asked of them. They optimized their morning routines, they answered Slack messages at midnight.
They checked all the societal boxes, they built the massive career, they made the millions, they achieved the elite status.
And yet, the cognitive load of making 1,000 micro-decisions a day finally breaks them. They arrive at the pinnacle of their career feeling a profound, echoing emptiness.
They realize, as they look out from their corner office, that they have spent their entire adult life climbing the wrong mountain.
They were scaling the mountain of endless ambition when what their brain actually craved was a tactile connection to the earth, to seasonal simplicity, and to quiet.
They needed the terrifying 10,000-foot ice wall of the Eiger to show them how completely insignificant their email inbox actually is.
This raises an important question for anyone listening to this deep dive right now. It asks us to take a really uncomfortable, honest look at our own relationship with the noise in our lives.
It's hard to do.
It is. We are so deeply accustomed to the constant hum of engines, the relentless 24-hour cycle of news, and the endless dopamine-driven ping of notifications that we don't even realize how heavy that cognitive load is. We don't realize we're carrying a boulder until we imagine what it would feel like to set it down in an alpine meadow.
And that leads me to a final provocative thought I want to leave you with today. The phenomenon of Gimmelwald makes a compelling case that life quickly teaches you that you need far, far less than you think you do to be happy.
So true.
But I want to challenge you on the mechanics of that piece. Do you really need to hire immigration lawyers to navigate Byzantine Swiss quotas, spend years learning an impenetrable mountain dialect, and ride a tiny metal box up a cliff face just to achieve that realization?
Probably not.
Or is the profound actual lesson of Gimmelwald something entirely different? Maybe the lesson isn't about geography at all. Maybe it's the realization that we could all actively choose to artificially strip away the consumer clutter and silence the engines in our own lives right now.
Right, where we are.
What if you could build your own structural friction? What if you could build your own airlock today without ever leaving your home? Think about that the very next time you hear a notification ping on your phone, and imagine the slow, dull ring of a cowbell instead.